Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Max and welcome to today's airsofting video. So I have a bit of a special treat for you guys with, once again, another Glock video. So again, this is kind of like by popular demand, so I'm kind of just going with the flow and giving you guys what you want to see. So today's video is mainly going to be about comparing and seeing if the Elite Force Glock is compatible in any other way with the other models and versions of the Wheat Glock and the KJW Glocks. What I mean by this is I'm going to be trying to see if the Elite Force slide and lower frame are compatible with any of the other slides and lower frames of the KJW or the Wheat Tech Glocks. So I have a few of them here in front of me, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. So we'll get right into this video, guys, and hope you enjoy. Alrighty guys, so feast your eyes on all of these bad boys over here. So of course the one that's in question and part of the experiment is going to be the Elite Force Glock, followed by all of these listed here. So just kind of a quick roll call of what I have here. So this one's Wheat Tech Glock 17, second one is KJW Glock 17. The one in the middle is actually my custom Frankenstein Glock, Tokyo Marui Wheat Tech Mix. This one right here is Wheat Tech G18C. This one right here is the double barrel G18C. And then the one hanging out in the corner is the Wheat Tech G35 Full Auto Edition. So just to save you guys the time, I'm going to field strip these really quick. And we'll just get right into it with comparing and seeing what fits on what pistol. Alrighty guys, so quite a lot going on here once these are officially field stripped and taken apart. So we've kind of established in a previous video that most of these magazines are compatible with each other. The design is very similar. The lower frames are very similar. So it almost leads you to believe that it's probably cross-compatible with the slides and lower frames of the pistols. So I'll kind of go over again with what's kind of listed here with the slide and everything. So this one here is Elite Force Glock. This is Wheat Tech G17. This is KJW G17 or KP17. This one is the G18C by Wheat Tech. This is the G35 by Wheat. This one right here is the double barrel G18C by Wheat Tech. And the last one on the end is the Frankenstein Glock. I call it that because it's like a Tokyo Marui Wheat Tech hybrid. So I will kind of get into it right now. So the lower frame here is part of one of the Wii Glocks, the G17 in particular. As you guys can tell, that there isn't an extra portion of the hammer assembly, which typically indicates it's full auto / semi-auto. So this is just a regular G17. So what we'll do is we'll first just start with the Elite Force Glock. It's a regular G17. Or pretty much, yeah, G17 slide. So far it's pretty smooth coming across the rails. The question of it locking is a whole nother story. So I'm kind of working on this too, and at the same time being pretty careful as to not damage anything, because again, these parts are just not compatible with each other typically. So this is essentially part of the experiment here. So right now, I'm already having a hard time with getting past the halfway point for this when I'm trying to connect the Wii lower frame to the Elite Force Glock slide. So it's definitely stopping me. I would say even if I push in the spring a little bit to kind of force it in, I'm even going to try to press the tabs down. But I think that, yeah, so I'll explain what's happening here. So this portion of the Elite Force Glock lower frame, like this little circle base that's holding the recoil guide rod, is actually hitting against the this little lip here for the slide. So as you can see, it is quite narrow, and with this base being pretty wide, it's definitely not going to be able to fit in there. So I can already tell you guys this is a myth busted type thing. I mean, I'm trying to show you as best as I can. You see that it's not even going to be able to get in there. So it is in fact not able to be compatible with the WeTech lower frame and the Elite Force Glock lower frame. So next, why don't we try the next closest match that I feel is going to be maybe compatible with the Elite Force Glock, which is the KJW KP17 lower frame. So again, this is just a regular G17 edition. As you can see, it's just the hammer assembly for the regular semi-automatic. Very similar, of course, to WeTech with the wheel design for the hammer. And here was the KJW slide. I mean, if you kind of look at these two in comparison, the Elite Force Glock is above. The composite of the material is almost identical. It's very similar. It even almost looks like it's possibly the same size, because I have noticed that the Elite Force Glock and the KJW are pretty narrow in terms of the sizing of them. So here's kind of like an up close view again. So let me go ahead and try and see what will happen when I try to merge these two together. So let's take a look. Okay, pretty smooth in the beginning there. Again, looks like it gets definitely stuck between that halfway point. But the thing to note, the U on here is almost looking like it's a bit wider, but I think it's going to be the same dilemma here. Let me just compare. Yeah, so it is going to be in fact the same issue, because this this mounting here and this base, they just do not fit one bit. It is in fact too narrow as well, just like the WeTech. Let me compare the WeTech again with the KJW, so you guys can see that those U-shaped brackets that are part of the lower frames are pretty much identical. So that kind of really tells you that, you know, we and KJW definitely work together pretty well. But in terms of the Elite Force Glock slide on the KJW frame, it is in fact nothing. It does not work. It is not compatible. So next, what we can try to do is we've kind of already. I could even just come to this conclusion now that more than likely anything that's Wii related is not going to fit together with the Elite Force slide. But why don't I try my Frankenstein Glock lower frame? So this one is actually the Tokyo Marui lower frame. I did in fact use everything that's on the inside here as the original WeTech OEM materials. I did do a lot of sanding on this, so I may have some hope here of it probably sliding on, but again, I'm kind of doubtful, because again, this is all OEM WeTech internals. I did even switch out the hammer too, back to the OEM. As you guys can see, it is the regular wheel design, but again, it's a fully trademarked lower frame. It's actually even more trademarked than the Elite Force Glock, because this is kind of like the made in Austria edition. So it definitely has a little bit more detail, and it's a Gen 3 lower frame. So let's see what happens. Okay. So again, and this is kind of, you know, I already had this assumption of the base with the, you know, in that U shape in here. It's just too narrow for this thing, and you won't be able to put this thing together, because you're forced to pretty much line up the rails and slide it on. You know, you can't just do one of these things where it's like you put in one side and clip it to the other. You know, it's not a cheap spring pistol to be able to do that sort of thing. So again, this is almost looking like it is not compatible, unfortunately. So even though this is my Frankenstein Glock and most of it is custom, these two housings, however, are in fact OEM WeTech, which includes that U-shaped design for, you know, that metal piece. I don't know the name of it, but so that's already not looking so good. Obviously, just gonna get this right out. I just wanted to do it just for fun. Okay, here's the double barrel lower frame. So, you know, very complex looking design. You have two hammers here. You have two arms here to adjust the firing modes, basically, for the hammer to just, you know, when it's in the full auto selected like mode, it I don't know. These things work together and magic happens. It's the best way I can explain it. And there's even a connecting rod too between the two hammers, which I thought was unique. But okay, let's be real here. You know, you still have those U-shaped brackets, so even if you're able to get this thing on one side somehow, it's never gonna work. I just purposely did this just for the fun of the video to show you guys that that's a joke and it's not gonna work. So we'll put that one back, and then here was that double barrel slide combo here. So again, very interesting and complex looking design. You have basically two levers that will, you know, click on those little pieces in the hammer housing again to enable the full auto function. So this isn't semi. You switch it, they shift over, and then from there they begin their full auto devastation. Alrighty, so now that we pretty much established that the Elite Force Glock, it cannot fit on any of the WeTech/KJW lower frames. Now let's try it the other way around. Let's try to see if the WeTech slides will fit on the Elite Force lower frame. We're gonna go ahead and try that out right now. Alrighty, so here we have the lower frame to the Elite Force Glock 17. Pretty much, you know, nothing too crazy, fully trademarked. So here's the internals once again. Which again, it just really impresses me. I love this design with the oblong shaped hammer wheel. So again, it just makes the travel for the slide like super smooth. It's like the best thing I've ever seen. So we're gonna go ahead and just get right into it. So we know that this one, Elite Force slide, is gonna work just fine. But why don't we try the WeTech G17 slide? G17, G17, it should be a perfect combo, right? Well, let's find out and see what happens. Alright, so, oh wow, this is like the smoothest so far. Oh, and it even clicked in. Impressive. Alright, so, something very interesting, and I didn't even expect for that to freaking work. Alright, so it sits pretty flush on the back. It sits pretty nice. It sounded like it clicked. I'm gonna see if I could even rack this thing. Okay, problem number one already. So the barrel, the outer barrel is not depressed further down enough for the slide to go over it. So right now it's pretty much in like a locked mode. So I'm trying to push it back, as you guys can see, and it's not wanting to go, probably because there's something in here that's keeping the barrel from going down a little bit, so then the slide can go back and, you know, come back. So, and I just noticed this as well. Look at the tremendous opening here that's that the Elite Force Glock slide typically fills in. So here's the actual slide, and here's the WeTech. So you can see that the bottom of the or the Elite Force Glock Gen 4, the slide is much thicker looking on the bottom for the recoil spring than on the WeTech. So that's kind of interesting, and that's why there's a ridiculously large opening here. So, okay, it looks like this isn't going to work, even though it was so satisfying and it even clicked. I got my hopes up, but unfortunately this is not compatible and will not fire. Because the purpose of this is to see if it fits, if you can cycle it, and if you could fire it. That will truly tell you if it's compatible and will work, but just because it clicks and doesn't work does not indicate that it is 100% compatible. So that is a fail there. We'll try with KJW next. We'll see what happens. So far it's going good. Did get it stuck a little bit. Hold on. Let me. Oh, okay. This one. Okay, so this one went in and it actually clicked in as well. So again, KJW, you have that really awkward opening there. KJW upper, or the slide and the lower frame, everything sits flush. But unfortunately, again, I'm coming across the same issue with not being able to pull this back. As you guys can see, it has me halted here. So this one looks like a fail as well. Again, it really had me going because it clicked, and I thought that it would probably go, but I guess not. Let's try the G18C. So this one probably might be the same story here. Yeah, so this one, same thing, but it's not expected to work because this is a G17 lower frame, and again, that hammer is not capable of firing in the full auto mode. So again, it's not gonna work, and again, it had me going with the click, and now it looks like it was stuck for a sec, but never mind. Okay, this one, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, but this one's a very awkwardly shaped, and I mean, the thing to consider, this is always going to fit properly with the G35, because the G35 itself automatically comes stock with a G17, or if it's a full auto edition, the G18 version lower frame. So that never changed. So this in fact does fit properly, but you know, the other story of it cycling, you know, that'll be, yeah, so you guys can see again, it's not depressing this outer barrel down like a millimeter for the slide to go over it, so you can't rack it back. And again, it still wouldn't work because this is the full auto WeTech slide versus the G17 semi-automatic lower frame. So let me get this thing off if I can. Okay. All right, double barrel, we already know that it's just a no-go. I pretty much just had it for show. Now we'll do the last one here, the Frankenstein Glock slide, Tokyo Maruya WeTech combo, and we'll try to put this bad boy over. And this one's interesting because I'm stuck halfway here, so let me. Yeah, it's definitely not wanting to go for some reason. I do have a modified recoil guide rod on here, so that could be the why. Yeah, you know, without forcing it too much, I don't want to break anything. But this appears to not even slide on all the way, which is interesting to me because, okay, it's a pretty much WeTech, you know, part. Well, maybe not the slide. The slide itself is actually Tokyo Marui, so that's completely custom. So that even could tell you that, you know, without me having a Tokyo Marui model, the Tokyo Marui might not even be compatible with this, because this is a Tokyo Marui slide and outer barrel. And it's not even letting me go all the way with the motion. So that's telling me too that probably Tokyo Marui isn't even compatible with this. And just something to share with you guys with, again, that U-shape thing I was talking about in the previous section of this video. So here's just a difference with the U-shape. So Elite Force is on the right. This one is, I think, the WeTech. Yeah, this is the WeTech one. So you can see the WeTech one is super narrow versus the Elite Force where it's super huge and wide. Again, the reasoning behind that is because the base on this guide rod here is so large. So that, I mean, without that, it will never be compatible with WeTech or KJW lower frames, unfortunately. And interestingly enough, my G18C, as you guys can see, this is also a custom spring guide rod. It's got a pretty large base as well, but again, it's just pretty thick looking. It's not necessarily wide like the Elite Force Glock is. So we've kind of determined, you know, just by these last couple tests, the only thing compatible is the gun itself with its own parts. I would say maybe there could be an exception for, well, maybe this isn't compatible with itself, because I'm having a hard time getting it on. All right, there we go. I think it's going. There we go. So the only other one I could think of is probably Stark Arms Glock 17 would maybe work with this, because from what I understand, it's the same manufacturer. So that's probably the only way that this can work is with Stark Arm parts and its own parts. Nothing else from the KJW, and even Tokyo Marui family, so apparently. So that's kind of interesting. Alrighty guys, so just kind of in conclusion to this video, and again, thank you for being patient and watching this, as it is quite a long video because there is quite a lot to cover here. But we've established that the Elite Force pistol is not compatible with the WeTech lower frames, and vice versa with the slides. So, you know, unfortunately that is the case here. The only thing that's really compatible friendly are the magazines themselves, actually. Everything else, I mean, at least for this, if you're trying to swap parts or swap slides, lower frames, you may want to even go with Stark Arms, and I'm even saying that as like a 50-50 because I don't have a Stark Arms G17 to compare this to, so I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to go with my instinct considering this is the same manufacturer that creates or the same factory that makes Stark Arms pistols, and these pretty much use the same parts. So I can imagine that working, but again, I don't know. Maybe you guys have Stark Arms Glocks and maybe compared it with the Elite Force Glock. If you have, let me know. I'm curious. And then even, yeah, if I mentioned Tokyo Marui, that's another one that seems like it probably doesn't work. But anyway, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. Again, it's a very informative and lengthy video, so again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch it. If you guys have any questions, again, leave a comment. If you guys love Glocks like I do myself, I have a Glock playlist on my YouTube channel, so I'd recommend you guys to check that out. There's tons of stuff there, and I post various other airsoft content all the time as much as I can. So if you like that kind of stuff, subscribe. It's usually a few times a week I'll be posting something with airsoft guns or airsoft related products. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have an awesome day.